Hello and welcome to the TSANet update for June 2025. TSANet, we're set up as a not-for-profit global alliance. We currently have around 950 members, and our charter as an association is to enable multi-vendor support. If you look at the areas of member benefits, you can break them down these three areas. We've got the technology partner framework. This is where members work to onboard all of their technology partners. I'll go into a lot of detail around that. That's an area that has been enhanced quite a bit here over the past year or so. Then we have the multi-vendor collaboration. That is essentially TSANet Connect, and hopefully you've heard a lot about Connect 2.0. I'll be providing a good update on that. And the third is the TSANet community, and a lot of hopefully folks on the call here have experienced these by attending regional focus groups. So we have those in North America, we've got Europe, we've got India, we've got Australia, and we also have Japan. So that's a great opportunity to get together, network, provide TSANet feedback, learn best practices. We see that as an area of a lot of member participation. If you take a look at the TSANet member roles within an organization, we see these different roles, and again, we don't prescribe as far as should this be a small organization. Maybe it's a single individual that has most of these roles underneath one person, or it could be a large organization, right, where you have multiple regions, divisions, things. You could have more than three folks here, but we see these three different roles. There's always an executive sponsor. Again, this could be a chief customer officer, it could be the head of support, success, or partner alliance. But from a high level, they are leading and promoting TSANet within the company. Then you have program managers, and we see a lot of different titles there. Partner alliance managers, support planners, support readiness folks. They are responsible for making sure that the enablements in place for collaboration. So really kind of making sure TSANet is in place for any type of technology solution that involves another company. And then you've got the operation. Essentially, these are the folks that are making the outbound collaborations, responding to inbound collaborations, and we like to see key users in general in the larger support centers. And again, this could be a support manager, could be escalation managers, but it's kind of the good point of contact for others within the center to be able to engage on multi-vendor issues. So we see this as a kind of best practice for how members are set up with their roles. So then moving into the technology partner framework, as I said, this is an area that we've enhanced quite a bit over the past year, and a lot of this is closely aligned to the capabilities of Connect 2.0. So if you think kind of historical how TSANet was started and kind of our sweet spot, it was always in this kind of bottom tier, right? So common customer, could even be your competitors, you find them in a customer environment. That's really how TSANet started, and then we've scaled through the use of certified partners. A couple great examples there: Red Hat Connect, Nutanix Elevate Partner Program. But essentially, these all kind of work the same way. There's a collaborative support model. It's bi-directional. It's dual entitlement, so the customer is entitled with both partners. And it tends to be low frequency, and I would put it in the category of an escalation. So it doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, it's really important for the members to get together. So that's been in place obviously since the start and fully supported on all of the previous TSANet Connect methods. The top tier though is something that is enabled through Connect 2.0. So this is something that is a little bit different. So if you look at solution support, you've got a couple great examples here. As far as joint solutions, one I would call out is the FlexPod solution that includes NetApp and Cisco. Microsoft also has an integrated support model where they work very closely with companies. And then of course OEM is in here as well as far as kind of strategic partners go. But they all fall in this area of solution support. And with that, quite a bit of flexibility. Of course, it's modeled after what does a solution require. So it could be defined on directions. It could be bi-directional. It could be vendor A takes a call and escalates to vendor B. Entitlement's always streamlined, so you take a look at what is a great experience for the customer as well as the partners participating. Tends to be higher frequency, tends to include things like, hey, let's warm transfer these types of issues, or let's escalate these types of issues. And then, of course, there's some areas around knowledge and training that are in there as well. And whether those are inside of TSANet Connect or not, they're kind of within the scope of solution support. And we see that in an area that we'll be expanding into as well. So if you take a look at certified partner journey, and this is an area where we have been having some workshops over the past couple of regional focus group meetings. This picture here is largely taken from some of the best practices that we've seen here, and this is where TSANet is actually integrated within the partner journey. So when a partner signs up, you're going to kind of go through this registration process, then they're going to build a solution, but ultimately they're going to get a certification, right? They're going to, maybe it's self-certified, right? But this really allows the vendors to put them on their website. Maybe it isn't a marketplace, maybe it's just simply a compatibility guide, but ultimately we do want the bidirectional support to be in place to support that. And there's this quote here is from Nutanix. It, once you get in there, it allows the sales teams to sell with confidence and the support teams to support with confidence. So it's a very important aspect of solutions. And then if you take a look at solution and strategic partner journey, I've leveraged this from ISO best practice model. Again, these tend to be much heavier relationships, but from the support standpoint, it's a very repeatable process. Again, we call it solution support, and it just is enhanced. It's way more flexible, so it can be based on what are the requirements of the solution. Like I said, it could be hey, for this solution, this partner is going to take the first call, or maybe the customer can contact either. But generally speaking, there's some streamlined entitlement. There's some thought in place as far as what types of issues you'll get. And as well, there's a lot higher focus on things like metrics, QBRs, things like that as well. And in the past, this was, I don't want to say largely out of scope with TSANet, but there was better ways of doing this. But now with Connect 2.0, and I'll go through the features and functionality that help enable this. This is fully supported through TSANet now as well. So what we see with that technology partner framework is really every partner that you work with, there's a solution through TSANet. So versus fragmenting it where, hey, we've got this solution where we use our extranet, this one we've got a B2B, this one we use TSANet. Now you've got an appropriate solution for all of your technology vendors through TSANet. So if we take a look at the process that we go through, and this is largely our success managers that work with elite members, but certainly this can be viewed downstream as well with premium and standard members. And that's just taking a look at your technology partner ecosystem. You probably already have them categorized in these types of models. Maybe you call them a little bit different names, but they're largely what I'm describing here. And you're going to go through and you're going to standardize. So, hey, is this certified or solution support? Again, only 2 models, and they're very clearly mapped into the different categories and fully supported on TSANet. That is allowing you to simplify. And then when I talk about automation, I am talking about Connect 2.0 and the capability to be integrated in your systems, and we'll spend a lot more time on that later. But this really kind of gives you an end-to-end process that makes certain that if you're going to have a technology partnership, that there is a structured path to do that, and one that's scalable and very manageable. So that's really the focus for TSANet and some of the new enhancements for TSANet Connect. So that's a good transition into TSANet Connect. So TSANet Connect, this is multi-year effort. So this really started back in 2023, where we worked with the technology committee, tried to understand what was necessary. Hyperscalers were a big focus here, but ultimately this is where we're at today. So we have a system. It does provide seamless integration. I'll go over the current state there. It does support bidirectional create and update. It does support bidirectional notes and secure file transfer. It does support both the collaborative support models as well as solution support model. You've got the SLA monitoring, you've got escalation management, and probably the most important thing is, since we're set up as a not-for-profit and it's a member-driven organization, it is code that the members own, so it's all available in GitHub. So when we talk about the connectors and kind of who we've been working with there, you'll see a lot of members have participated in helping us build this. This chart, I'm not going to go through the details here. I'm just going to maybe just highlight a little bit where we see, and I tend to tease, members or others when they say, "Hey, what's the TSANet competition?" And I'll call them alternatives, and they tend to be, "Hey, our competition is our own members." And again, I think in the past it was necessary for members to do things differently based on the fact that TSANet Connect did not have the capabilities that they needed. So this certainly led to the fragmentation. But now TSANet Connect fully supports the functionality. I'm just showing the pros and cons between some of the other approaches. So of course, extranets are everyone's favorite. Hey, just give the partner access to our extranet. Of course, that would work if you have 1 or 2 partners, but when you have 5,000 engineers and 300 partners, that is not operationally sound. And it drives strange things like, let's create a common account, let's put an Excel spreadsheet with the logs and passwords. So it just creates operational issues and ultimately poor security. The other alternative, obviously, we see some members that have capabilities in this area standing up a B2B integration. And the big ding from that is really one of cost and scale. And I would say the other big thing that we've seen is flexibility. And I would say the big thing here is, unless you have 100% alignment between both vendors, the chance of a successful B2B integration long term is very, very slim. So even if you get it set up, one side decides that they're not going to do that anymore, your B2B is done. So very difficult to kind of influence IT priorities and stuff for multiple companies. So that's where we see the Connect platform being beneficial compared to these other alternatives. If you look at our current state, the way to kind of look at this is we have a back end and front end client. So the back end is what we call our integration framework. It is all built on this enterprise grade back end, so combination of API endpoints and flows and messaging platform. So basically a very capable back end system, and that allows us to make connectors, and also even the web app is talking to that. So if you look at where we are today, we do have a web app that all members use, and it is fully functional. So it supports all of that, notes, attachments, all of those things. So the web app has been in place actually for well over a year now. And then we have 2 different managed packages, and we really have a lot of emphasis on this, and I'll show you the roadmap. We have another one that we've planned this year because this is really a repeatable and very cost-effective way for members to do this integration. So Salesforce, you go install a package and the functionality is there. You don't need to spend all the time that you would spend on IT integrations. And again, it gives you the B2B capabilities through an install versus through multi-company IT projects multiplied over and over for the different vendors that you're going to connect. So much more efficient, much more cost effective. So we've got that for Salesforce, we've got that for Microsoft Dynamics, but we also do have the ability to work with a member with a custom API. And where we've seen this be helpful is if a member already has some solution stood up, and a lot of times it's obviously very difficult to go to that member and say, we have something better. So what we do in that case is we integrate with their solution. A great example of that is the Cisco Smart Bonding solution. That's been in place for a while. They've got a lot of partners on that. Of course, a lot of investment in there. Much more appropriate to integrate to that versus doing battles on which solution is better. So that's been up and going, and I would say we've learned a lot from Cisco during this process as well. So we've got the capabilities of doing that, and in general, some solution for every member. If you take a look at the connectors, you're going to find a very common theme, and this will continue with any type of connector we build. So for example, Microsoft Dynamics, they have the concept of creating a Power App in order to extend the functionality of Microsoft Dynamics. So within that Power App, there is a Dataverse, which is holding all of the data that the API is collecting from the back end. So this has the case, the response, the notes, attachment information. And then there's a UI element that's part of the package, and of course this allows it to sit within Microsoft Dynamics, and we provide different things that allow members to configure it within their customized environment. So of course the big thing we hear from folks is, oh, we could never use a connector, our system is so heavily customized. And really the strategy for these, and I would say that these platforms do a great job of this, is of course they let you customize it, and they have that capability within their extension as well to allow us to provide things like flows and such that say, okay, well, maybe your case doesn't look like this, maybe we can't add these default things, but we can customize it within your case environment as well. So Microsoft Dynamics is the first one. The second one is Salesforce. Again, this has been developed largely with IBM and Red Hat, which, as you can imagine, very complex environments. But very similar to the Microsoft solution, you've got a concept of a managed package. So this allows you to upgrade, allows us to add new functionality, and it results in a custom object, very similar to the Dataverse, where you're holding the case, the responses, notes, and attachments. And then we provide a lot of UI elements. And I think what we're learning as we're engaging other members is, again, we learn something new where it's like, oh, you do case updates here. You don't use the native timeline in Salesforce. You've built your own thing. So again, that brings us back and says, okay, well, we can support that with a new flow that you would then leverage within your custom timeline. So quite a bit of flexibility there, and probably the ultimate, as you can imagine, IBM. If you think you have a customized environment, of course, IBM has a lot of customization, a lot of downstream processes, and you can see how TSANet Connect fits very well within that. So through the use of their section of the case form where they have all their actions and related lists, that's where we live. And again, it makes it very easy for the engineers to say, hey, I want to do a TSANet collaboration. Again, in the same place, they would say, hey, I want to do a JIRA bug, or I want to do a field service dispatch, right? All these kind of secondary actions are all within the same thing and make it for a good user experience with the members. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what we've got currently. If we take a look at the roadmap, I have broken this down into 3 different sections. We have the core system, which of course includes the web app as well as that integration framework, and we continue to enhance that. So of course there's issues that are reported by members or things that we find, so that's continually being enhanced, and we've moved to a model now where we're releasing a new release every 2 months, so quite a bit more frequent updates on this as well. One of the big features though that we've been working on, and I know this looks like a long implementation plan, but when I share with you what we're doing with file transfer, I think you'll appreciate it. But attachments is the number one thing people ask for, so we are developing a solution with that. And then partner alliance management features, these are things we see coming towards the end. And again, these are largely going to be experienced through the connectors, because you can imagine it's much better for an alliance manager that's maybe working in Salesforce to map their partners into TSANet and make sure all that stuff is enabled, run reports, those types of things. So that's what we're talking about there. And then if we look at the connectors, we already have the 2 in place. Those will continue to be enhanced. We'll continue to add more members, so we'll just start to scale those out. And then we have defined our next connector to be ServiceNow. So that seems to be a very popular system in our members, especially in SaaS type solutions. So we'll be starting to work on their ServiceNow. And then if we look at the custom integrations, of course, we had the Cisco. We've had Inbound in place for quite some time. We've added attachments, and of course they've been actually the lead on some of this new functionality. So attachments are number one first for Cisco, and then we're going to start working on the outbound side of things, and then we have room for at least 1, possibly 2 more custom integrations. So we're really kind of looking at this time to prioritize those. So I'm going to spend just a little bit of time on the secure file transfer, and the main reason I want to dig in here a little bit more is maybe just give you an appreciation for some of the complexity and why you could really never do this with the other alternatives, whether it's an extranet or a B2B. Very, very difficult to pull off any type of a common functionality that is secure. So again, this is for uploading a file to a member, and as you can imagine, every member has a different way of doing that. We thought we would find a good chunk of members that say, oh, we do that in Salesforce, or we do that in Microsoft Dynamics. We haven't found a single one there. They're either using we use this Amazon S3 bucket, or we use Azure Files, or some type of enterprise grade file storage system. So what we're doing is, as part of the onboarding now, we work with the member to set up an endpoint to basically connect into their file transfer solution. So you can see here, then that will drive a consistent experience on the client, whether that's the web, Salesforce, etc. And again, that goes through our middleware and points to the right endpoint to where you're getting the authentication and the file location. And then the file is actually transferred directly into that solution. So the file's not sitting on our system. We don't want to store it. Members don't want us to store it. So that really creates a very secure solution. So that's where we're at with the file transfer. Again, Cisco is our first there. So we've got that in place coming for the June release. But now we have a mechanism where we're going to be adding this when a member joins and onboards with one of the connectors, whether that's Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, and then ultimately we will have one for the web app and kind of the default where we'll say, hey, if you want to add attachments, here's the way to do that. So that is the file transfer functionality. And the last slide here I want to just kind of drill into a bit is how members can get involved and just want to stress the importance that we are a member-driven association. So we really don't do anything without members' input. And I think that's important, and it's very difficult for us to drive the organization forward. So we really need members to be participating. And you can do that in many different ways. Just simply promoting the use of TSANet, that goes a long way. Using TSANet Connect, giving feedback, just really kind of driving the use of that. Again, equally important. Attending these regional focus groups, and again, we've got them in a lot of areas. So if you find, hey, I always come to the Europe one, I wonder if we send somebody to India. I know we have a huge support center there. So really kind of championing that within the organization, because we find that is a huge value. And then the fourth, and I would call this the ultimate commitment, is joining either the board or one of our committees. So we have the TSANet board, heavily involved. We have voting each year. So in kind of the springtime, there's an opportunity to participate in the board. So if you had a desire to do that, I would say you'd find that very rewarding. But even if you don't do the board, there's other opportunities. So we've had 2 committees that I would say are very important. One is a security committee. That's where we do all of our ISO oversight. And then the second is a technology committee. So this is where we work, generally speaking, with the IT teams to understand, what functionality do we need to provide in Salesforce, for example? What functionality do we need to provide in Microsoft Dynamics? And then, of course, ServiceNow is coming. So there's some opportunities to be involved here and really kind of push the direction of the organization. So with that, we'll let you go, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.